Oh, God, no.
These are the brown shirts.
Oh, God, no, you're kidding me. So the way Obama, the dictator, is doing this is funding mayors to create their own security details, and then eventually they will be given weapons?
Well, this is the next step. I'm sure of it.
Oh, my God, Tom.
Coming to a town.
Tom, it's frightening, but I put nothing past the Joker. Thank you for the call. You know, there's a topic I never talk about because it's used by too many people for personal gain, and it upsets me. And that is the Holocaust, where approximately 6 to 7 million Jews were mercilessly worked and slaughtered, and approximately 7 million anti-Hitlerite non-Jews were mercilessly slaughtered. But last night, I was watching the History Channel, and they ran footage which I had seen once in my life and didn't want to ever see again. In fact, I was warned years ago never to watch it again. And it was Nazi troops, the Einsatzgruppen. These were commandos who were trained, these were the worst of the worst. These were not the regular German military who were conscripts, some of whom were, good, bad, and different. In other words, regular soldiers. These were the hardcore murderers. These were the types that would have been taken out of the worst of our prisons, being given a uniform and a gun. And they were told to go town to town as the Germans went through Poland and Eastern Europe into Russia, and single out mainly the Jews, take them out of the towns and kill them. And there's one scene of soldiers with rifles, and one of them is focused on a Jewish mother holding her baby in her arms as he fires literally within 3 feet of her head and blows her head off and kills her and the baby. Probably then shot the baby. Then there's one of the most horrible movies I've ever seen, documentary film, of Jewish men, after being beaten by mobs of Latvian thugs, being taken in trucks to an open grave, and the town is watching this. The town comes out to watch this. Men and women and children in shorts are watching as Nazi Einsatzgruppen throw the men down into a pit and shoot them and shovel dirt over them. And the narrator says calmly, what's shocking about this is that the men who were killed were men from the town. They were their teachers, their pharmacists, their doctors, their bakers, their milkmen, and no one did anything. Nobody said anything. So I look at this and I start to say to myself, it can't happen here. It's impossible for mass slaughter to ever happen like this in the United States of America. It can't happen again. And then I'm reminded in the back of my mind what Bill Ayers and his friends wrote about many years ago, the good friends of Obama. And I can't cite the exact paper, but we'll get it for you by tomorrow. Him and his henchman, Bill Ayers, the communist, good friend of Obama, the terrorist, wrote with his friends, or one of his friends wrote in one of their strategy sessions, that to bring about total revolution, they would have to kill 30 million people in the United States of America. And they said it would be worth it to bring about the socialist revolution of their dreams. And I said, it can't happen here. It's impossible. There are too many checks and balances. Then I have a caller who just tells me that Mayor Bloomberg just took stimulus money from the federal government to create, in essence, a brown shirt force that answers only to him. That's not NYPD. Of course, they're not armed right now. We shouldn't be alarmed, of course. And, of course, Bloomberg, as you know, is such a good man. Don't you understand that it can happen here? Don't you understand that a gang has taken over the United States of America? Don't you understand that this is a gang? That you don't have an administration running the country, you have a gang that is robbing you blind and gangbanging you all the way to the bank. Think about it and get back to me. I'm taking a break.
On the air, online, and on the go, this is Talk 910 KNEW.
Is America being saved by Barack Hussein Obama is the question. I just boiled it down for you. To the true believer, there is no wrong he can do. To the doubter, there is no good that he can do. Those are both sides of the coin. Now, as usual, there is the truth, and the truth lies somewhere in the middle. But never underestimate the effects that absolute power have upon any human being. We have a country where absolute power is forbidden. In fact, we all well know that We were supposed to have a nation where there was a balance of powers, a separation of powers. And we increasingly see, and it didn't start with Obama, but it may end with Obama unless this man is called out for what he is doing to this country. We see a collection of acts. He started with the highest number of, what do we call them, Beowulf? I forgot already. Executive orders of any president in history. I don't think you understand this. By writ, by decree, by no vote, no discussion. The highest number of executive orders of any president. Then we saw an unprecedented expenditure of the public treasury, and mainly in monies going to his cronies and his supporters and his friends. And then an expansion of government in dangerous ways, as you can well understand. It is not a healthy picture. And if you project this storyline out over 4, 8 or more years, we see the end of freedom in this country, those of us who understand what we're talking about. And some of us do understand what we're talking about. Many of you don't understand where we are. A report just came out on the Drudge Report. His headline is something to the effect that, 30 million Americans are on 30 million are on the antidepressants. How many years have I told you that most of America is drugged? His headline is 27 million Americans on antidepressants. Well, I'm not shocked by that number. I thought it was higher. Now, if you add to the number of people who are on drugs, mind-altering drugs called antidepressants, you add to that the number of people who are on pot, you add to that the number of people who are on illegal drugs such as cocaine or amphetamines or speed or crank, you add to that list the number of people who are drunk most of the time, and what you have is a nation of slaves. We have an enslaved nation, a nation enslaved by drugs, legal and illegal, being manipulated by a gang from Chicago, in cahoots with the media. The government media complex is running this country in a way the country was never set up to be run. You can call it socialism, but that has almost no meaning. People say, oh, he isn't a socialist. He is a socialist. There are many varieties of socialism. I don't know why that's so hard to understand. I'm the first one in the media, by the way, particularly in talk radio, to have started to talk about socialism. 5 years ago, I tried to educate you. I talked about Leninism. I talked about Trotsky. It went over everyone's head. No one listened to me. Of course he's a socialist. Not is he a socialist? He is. The only question is, what kind of socialist is he? There are hundreds of varieties of socialism. I've told you that as well. So it's not a matter of, is he a socialist? Of course he is. Bush was a socialist, by definition. A year before the election, I called Bush a fiscal socialist. Again, no one listened to me. Bush expanded the government in a way that was unbelievable. He should have been stopped by his own party. But they were having too good a party, weren't they? The Republican crooks never had it so good. So they didn't say anything. They looked the other way while they expanded government in ways that was never intended to expand. So let me give you an example so you understand where I'm coming from and where this country should be and where it must go in order for us to survive and our freedoms being maintained. I'm reading a book on offshore sailing off the coast of California, or boating off the coast of California. And they go back to Richard Henry Dana, one of the earliest chroniclers of the beautiful coast of California. And some others, some surveyors from the 1800s, writing about various coastal towns and whatnot. And they write about Santa Barbara in the period of like 1815, 1820, before it was a city. And it says that they were having a tough time making ends meet in this little town of Santa Barbara. And the people were barely getting by selling lumber and hides and whatever else. Barely getting by. And I said to myself, wait a minute, how did we wind up with a government run by crooks who don't produce a damn thing themselves? Nothing. They produce nothing, and yet they write checks to their friends and create bigger programs and give their friends jobs. They call in guys who are criminals, give them a job in the White House, and then tell them, here's $50 million, go hire a staff. Where'd the money come from? Came from us. How did it come from us? Because we don't have a representative government anymore. I don't know when it ended. I don't exactly know when it ended. You think we have a representative government? You're living in dreamland. You're either one of the 27 million Americans on Prozac or an antidepressant, or you're a drunkard, or you're a pothead, or you're a drug addict, or you're a porn addict, and you don't even understand that you are a prisoner. You are a slave. Because if we had a legitimate system of government, the government would not spend any more money than it has. Where does it get the money from? Well, it doesn't create anything. The government doesn't make a product that people need. All it does is make more government, which is not a product. You put that on the debit side of the ledger. It costs money. So what does the government produce that makes money? The answer is nothing. It's the people who produce the products and the services. And the most productive amongst us are the most heavily taxed. So that the highest number of dollars that go into the hands of the gangsters in Washington come from those of us who are the most productive. And naturally, the bums on the bottom, or those who pay no taxes at all, or those who are living off the fat of the land, like that system. They want more freebies. They want the government to take from those of us who work and give to those who don't work. But the way this ends is that the country dies. Think of Cuba.